need a driver. We've heard a lot about you. You any good? Get in.
Driver has always been about, you know, Tanner, the undercover cop, has always been a very story-led game. But the feeling of those cars, the handling of the cars, something that made Driver quite unique in the first place. Not just the open city, but the way that the cars felt. Those big tail-out slides from the 70s US muscle cars. And that's something that we've really focused on again, is getting back that feel.
You lost one.
The on-foot sections that made their first appearance in Driver 2 was actually the first game to feature getting out of the cars and into new cars, and we used it very, very lightly in Driver 2. In Driver 3 we expanded it and brought in guns, and to be honest, we didn't get it completely finished. We didn't get it finished to a standard that we wanted to anyway. We decided with Driver San Francisco we wanted something completely different. If we don't allow the player to get out of the car and walk around, which was a very deliberate decision, were we to lock the player in the car like Driver 1, you are very quickly limited with the type of missions that you can do. Essentially, you're locked in a car, you can be chasing, you can be chased, you can drive from A to B, you can smash into things, you're very quickly limited. So the shift opens up a lot more possibilities. So it's been restrictive, and it's also given us a lot of freedom because of the specifics of the game design.
Come on, John. Come back to us, buddy.
Charging to 250!
You discover that Tanner is in a coma early on. Tanner doesn't realise he's in a coma. You come out into shift and you see the world from above, and as your ability increases, as Tanner becomes stronger, or closer to recovering, I should say, he gets a higher and higher view of the world until he can see ultimately the entire city. You then use the two thumbsticks to control yourself freely in the world. The whole world is moving, all the pedestrians are still walking around, the cars are still driving. It's a bit like Google Earth Live, really. Pick a car, shift straight into it. And you can do it as quickly as you want, and as rapidly as you want. You can do it across the entire city if you want. So from one side of San Francisco to another side of San Francisco. Shift itself is not realistic, but it's something that could easily exist in someone's dream or a coma, and that's why it's based in reality. You know, it's not a sci-fi thing. It's not a surreal thing. It's not you know, a time-traveling thing or some, you know, crazy helmet or aliens. It's a real thing. Tanner is. It's not an induced coma either. Tanner is involved in a serious accident, and the player, you know, gets to experience this accident, puts him into the coma. So obviously at that point you're in a coma. But what's important is that things are going on in the real world. Tanner doesn't realise he's in a coma. Things are going on in the real world, and they influence what happens in his coma, and crucially also things that he is learning. He's basically forming an investigation, which he puts to good use when he's out of the coma.
Well, that didn't take long.
We've actually avoided the scripted elements because the city or the environment that we use for the game is a very fluid environment, and it's a real controlled, well, I don't mean controlled in a contrived way. I mean, we have you know, these civilians all driving around, and you'll play the game once, or play a mission once, play it again, and all of the cars are in a different position, obviously. So you get an element of that drama and an element of that sort of whoa moment just by playing the game multiple times. Nothing is set up in that way, and the problem with scripting events like that is it can look spectacular once, but once you know it there, it's there. It's kind of like a, you know, that's it. It's a scripted moment, and you see it for what it is. But we like to keep that real seat of the pants feeling, and especially if you can bring yourself to play in the first-person views, like the hood camera or the bumper camera, or the in-car where you can see Tanner's arms, sawing at the steering wheel. It gives you that really intense feeling, those last-minute moments just before as you go across a crossroad.
Let's stop right there, shall we?
We have around between 130 and 140 real licensed cars, which is a first for the Driver series. Obviously, it's a huge undertaking to have real licensed cars in this kind of environment, an open street environment like this with car chases and cop chases. So that's been a considerable amount of effort. In fact, we've had a team devoted to it, just dealing with that side of things for the whole development. But it really brings something to the game, because the game being based on or inspired by real Hollywood TV and film car chases. You know, you want to be in a car chase, you want to be in the car that was being driven in that particular movie.
Okay, here goes.
Watch it! I'm on the phone!
I think one of the things that Reflections has always done is to be really quite unique. If you look at Destruction Derby, Stuntman, Driver itself, you know, they all sort of they don't follow a trend. They're quite unique. And again, you know, although it's a franchise, part of the Driver franchise, Shift is still a unique feature. So we've always tried to do that. So we don't sort of jump on the bandwagon of trying to do what these games are doing. And you're right, they are really good games, but they do what they do. And I think Driver still is quite unique, even without the Shift, in that it's the only game that really nails that, or even attempts really to nail that down street level Hollywood style car chase. Even the games that do car chases, it's a different type of car chase. The kind of car chases that we do in Driver are the sort of car chases that you see in the 70s, you know, movies like Bullet and you know, the French Connection, or even more contemporary ones like Ronin and the Bourne series. A real sort of down there, really in the adrenaline of a street level car chase.
Okay. Good. Keep driving.
The problem is, you know, you spend so many hours a day involved in games, the very last thing you can bring yourself to do is sit down on the sofa and boot up the PlayStation. You know, it's the last thing that you want to do, so don't tend to. The last game actually that I didn't finish and should have done, I'm still a bit frustrated that I haven't finished it, was God of War 3, and I got all the way through to the final battle with the last god, and it's almost like a sideways beat 'em up at this stage, and there he is, you know, blasting you with bolts and so on, and I must have gone round 20 times or so. And anyway, it was 2 o'clock in the morning or something. I played through the entire game, so I've done all the God of War games, absolutely amazing games. Got to this final battle with this final god, and I said, no, right, okay, it's too late, I'm going to bed. And the disc stayed in the PlayStation for 2 weeks because I never got back into it, and now I couldn't even tell you what the buttons do. You know, I would be so useless at it. I had no chance I could finish it. So that's one I didn't finish. I'm annoyed about that, actually. I should get that one finished.